what's up, guys? Thank you all for tuning in to TwistedYounginz. And once again, we are the most unorthodox show on the globe, providing you with content daily. You never know who's going to be on here. But anyway, I'm one of your hosts, Myra B. King.
This is Desi Dez.
And it's your boy Mojo in the building. We have a special guest with us today, sir. Let the people know who you are.
CP. Well, actually, I got rid of the CP on YouTube, but Steve Miller on YouTube, hotshotting and mechanic.
Absolutely.
Man, nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, bro.
Man.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate you sitting down and giving us your time. We were speaking earlier. I was telling you, going through your content is some of the most lucrative content when it comes to hotshotting right now, especially when we're talking about non-CDL and those type of things, because that's really the big issue I see when people talk about hotshotting and everything. Yeah. Pickup trucks. It's do CDL, non-CDL. Can you first tell us where you from?
Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
Okay, so how was it growing up out of there?
Grew up Dauphin area, Harrisburg area, a little bit of Perry County. It was all over the place. So
just like the inner city or like the outskirts?
Outskirts more, no city.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty normal, I think, for what it was. So just kid liked his skateboards and was big into music back then, and kind of everything took a big turn once, after 18. So a lot changed.
What made you what was the change, if you mind asking?
I was a big into automotive, anything automotive enthusiast. Loved cars, dumped way too much money into cars, every paycheck dumping money into cars. That was it. I had a buddy when I worked at Snap-on. He actually had a 2006 Ram 2500, and he was using it for work and whatnot, still working out of there, using a plow truck, and he tow a trailer occasionally. Ultimately, what got me into the trucks was I liked the way they sound. They were turbo, they were diesel. I was very new to back then. And yeah, that was the whole gist of it, basically moving from automotive to up to the truck world and realizing I can make money with it as opposed to wasting all my money on it. So that was the big change there.
So when did you realize you can start making money off? So you actually have you do hot shot trucking. We're just being a little specific.
And what is hot shot?
Right.
Yeah, basically just a pickup truck and a trailer. You can do power only, which is just a truck and you haul other people's trailers. That's what I started out doing when I was with my dad and another business partner. We had CP Towing back in the day. We kind of like branched off from the towing company over into Hotshot itself. I moved to doing power only stuff until I got a trailer last year. But yeah, that's basically what it is. Just a pickup truck and a trailer as opposed to a semi.
Okay. And so you started your own business doing that, correct?
Yeah. So my dad owned CMP Automotive. He started that in 95. We did a DBA, CP Towing back in, I think it was 2018. We had bought a towing company off of somebody, changed the name and did all that, took their contracts and whatnot. We didn't know anything, so it wasn't a very great thing. But I definitely learned a lot up until about October when we went from towing, which we had like 9 trucks, to I started doing the hotshot side, not even knowing what it was. I just started pulling campers down to Florida and back every week, and then it just kind of branched off into what it was.
So your hotshot trucking is underneath your the automotive umbrella, or do you need like an LLC for hotshot trucking?
It was no. So I'm actually leased under a company right now, JT Hotshotting, down in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm leased under them. So as basically just an individual, no business or LLC, none of that's tied to them. That's why a lot of people like non-CDL, is because you can start off with just a truck. And if you need the trailer, sometimes they'll even lend you one or lease you one. But you can start out with just a truck, your medical card, and a few other odds and ends. There's a couple of things in there, but it's super simple. You can get into it really fast if you lease under the company, but there are a lot of ways that you can do it incorrectly as well. But that's the simplicity of it.
Okay. Do you have intentions on starting your own?
Yeah, that's why I haven't been posting this last month. I am getting the ball rolling on CP Logistics. Already got the DOT number. I'll probably wait a couple of months till I get the MC number. And PA, it takes about 30 to 35 days to get everything approved and whatnot anyway. So that it's in the works right now. And then later on, I'll do a DBA for the mechanic side, because I like to do both. Every now and again, I'm like, hey, I want to do hot shotting for a while, but then, hey, I want to do mechanic stuff. And switching back and forth, it just makes sense to just keep everything separate. If one fails, it doesn't affect the other. But yeah, that's pretty much what's been going on in the background.
Absolutely. So what we're talking about right now, the biggest issue, like I said, is this non-CDL. So when you say, I need to, be clear, because a lot of people have pickup trucks and they think they could just tow, campers and stuff like that. Like, no, you have to have,
yeah, they do.
It's the quarter ton and up, right?
Yeah, 3/4 ton and 1 ton are generally what you want to stick with. I don't really recommend the 3/4 ton or under, but guys get away with it. A 2500 diesel's fine to start out with on that, but definitely recommend getting a dually at some point, especially if you get a tire blowout. You'd rather have the 4 tires in the back as opposed to just 2.
Yeah.
So,
and
your weight ratings.
And there you go. That's what I wanted to get into. So, first thing first, the vehicle that I be seeing you drive, is that in the videos, is that a 04 or is that a 05?
It's an 04.
Okay.
I had a 2006 front end on it before, but it's a 2004. It's the newer. Dodge does the dumb half years for some reason. So it's a 2004 and a half, if you will.
Now, what I want to ask you about that, with it being an 04, I see a lot of people who want to get into hot shot trucking and they go out and they're filing for their LLCs to start their company up. Then they're filing to get their DOT numbers, filing to get their MC numbers. There's companies that you can go to that'll do all the paperwork for you and stuff like that.
That's what I'm doing. I'm paying them to do it. So
there you go. Which do you mind sharing? Which group did you go to?
I'll have to get the name off the top of my head. I actually don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay. I'm gonna find the one that I was talking about to give them some free game. But what we're talking about, with your truck being an 04, have you ever had any issues with picking up any business or trying to lease on with it being an 04? Because a lot of people are buying brand new and everything like that. And I'm seeing these car notes are like 12 and 13 and $1,400 a month.
Yeah.
And some of them are sitting for longer than a week or two.
Yeah. Some of these guys, I tell them you can't look at my situation because coming from YouTube, when I left RV Mafia back sometime last year, I said, hey, I need a lease under a company. And I had one lined up and then he went AWOL. I had 15 companies reach out to me through my email. And you can't look at my situation like that because other guys, most guys are not going to get that same situation. So guys will look at YouTubers, they think it's easy. And then they try to get into it and it kind of like throws some curveballs. And when Justin messaged me, I liked his offer. It took us about a month or 2 before we got everything set up. I ultimately just liked his offer and I said, let's do it. And I'm glad I did that because there's a lot of things I didn't know, like setting up my own LLC and whatnot, and the DOT number and all that. The company that he uses, which again, I'm drawing a blank, what he used, and he said he's never had an issue. And the insurance company he uses, I've learned a lot of how to get good insurance discounts, how to get certain things off my records. Cause I had 2 accidents on my record that weren't from me. They were from, one was an old business partner and one was an ex, and they were able to just completely clear them off. And it got my insurance bill from $2,000 a month. I think it's down to $320 a month right now, but I'm only a local driver. So it's 400-mile radius.
Right.
So yeah, it was a huge, going from $320 a month or paying $2,000 a month. Like, yeah. I didn't know that. I'd be like everybody else paying for Progressive.
Yeah. See, that's another thing I wanted to get into. So obviously the main choice of insurance when it comes to hot shotting and everything like that is Progressive, because I'm hearing that most people say they give you the good rates. What type of, do you know what type of insurance is required for non-CDL? Because I know some people say $1 million in policies. Some people the same. Say $2 million.
You need your $1 million liability. You need your 100K cargo. Your power only stuff, if you're just hauling trailers, it's still the same, but there's like non-trucking insurance for when you're unloaded. And there's a bunch of little things I'm not 100% an expert on. I kind of let them deal with it. But yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. 80,000 pounds or 10,001 pounds. It's 1 million liability and 100K cargo at a minimal.
Another thing I do want to ask you about, since we're on this non-CDL subject real fast, the idea of non-CDL, most people hear, oh, it's under 26,000 pounds. So they get a truck and a trailer combined GVWR together, probably, the truck's probably 10,000 because it's a 2,500, and maybe they're getting maybe a 14,000 pound trailer, so that's 24,000. They think they can't tow no more than 2,000 on their trailer. Is that correct? And that's how it goes?
I don't know where these guys got that information from. The simpler way to do it, you have your truck. Mine's a 9K GVWR. My trailer's a 17K GVWR. It was. You have to weigh everything together. So weigh your truck and trailer empty with all your equipment, all your fuel. I think I weighed in between 15 and 16,000. So whatever your combination weight rating is, you have to subtract from your actual weight. And that's your capacity. But it doesn't stop there. You now have to make sure each individual axle is under its weight. That's why I tell people the 2,500s, you only have a 6,000 pound rear axle rating.
Mm-hmm.
So you can only shove your load up to the front until you hit that 6,000 pound mark. Now you're moving it back. So another benefit to the dually is you can put more weight on the front of the trailer and you can find loads for the back. Whereas a lot of guys with single wheels, they got to put the load smack in the middle. Well, now they got a front and a back that they're trying to find loads that'll mix and match with that. And it's not easy. But no, I don't understand why people do that. If you have a 10K truck and a 14K trailer, you're limited to 24,000 pounds. Mm-hmm. Now you have to weigh it, subtract it from that 24,000. You can't go over. You can't go over what your combination weight rating is.
Okay. Because that's definitely a key thing that a lot of people seem to argue about nowadays, especially when I'm talking about, YouTubers and everything like that, far as spreading the information. Do you intend to go CDL one day?
I have my Class A permit now. I'm waiting. I got to go, I think not this week. I'm going to go next week. I got to put a down payment on a trailer. I got a load trail, triple axle, 40 footer. With a wood deck this time, which this is only a temporary trailer, but I'm going to pay it off and then sell it and then get a tandem dually. But I can use that because it's a 21K GVWR, which will put me at 30. So I'll be able to go take my CDL test with it. I'm exempt from schooling because I have my permit. Now, if that permit expires, then I will have to go to school to get it. I got mine in October. So I have until October of this year to get my CDLA. And I am 100%, I'm going to do it. It's for how hard it is now to get it, how expensive, I'll take that $200-300 drive test as opposed to paying $7-8 at a school, which I don't even know if it's going to be higher than that.
Yeah.
So how did you, so you said you have a permit, and so how did you get the permit? Right. I'm sorry, I'm a virgin when it comes to stuff like that.
So, every state's different. Pennsylvania, we can just walk into the DMV and you take your 3 tests. It was, there was air brake, there was combination, and then I can't remember the other one. There's 3 tests. I took all 3, and you can only get so many wrong, and then you have to come back and start it over. But you basically just take a test. And I studied the entire day before and the day driving up to it, and I only got 1 question wrong. So I was really happy with that. But it's basically a memorization thing.
Right. So basically, you just go into the DMV and say, "Hey, I would like to take the CDL permit test." Yep.
Took me about an hour and 15 minutes, I think it was. I had an old video on it. I think I passed the test in 45 minutes. I was in and out the door, but it was an hour and 15 minutes. I had to wait on people in line and whatnot. But yeah.
Okay, so once you get the permit, once the permit comes in, you have to go to a company to where do you go to take the test at?
I think you can still go to the DMVs. They were pretty backed up for a while there, but you go there, they'll take your road test. It's similar to your driving test. There's a parallel park. There's a couple other tests I need to really study up on it. I'm not an expert on the road test yet. I have not done a single bit of studying, but they will make you do a pre-trip as well.
Yeah.
So, what got you into YouTubing? Filming?
I think I started that back in 2017, 2018. I had this idea of, hey, I'm going to be a YouTuber. And it was, I didn't like my job and I saw other guys doing it. It took many, many, many years before it finally paid off. Last year around August or March is when it started paying off. But before that, I was just a guy just filming random stuff. I had a diesel truck and I just was filming my day. I'd get 1 to 2 to 3 views a video. Absolutely terrible, but I stuck with it.
And how long was that? How many years?
I think I started in 17. Yeah, because we started the company in 18. So I started in 17. I think my first year, I don't think I crossed 30 subscribers. So it was pretty low, but I didn't know about Hotshot back then. Hotshot is a great way to build a channel.
I appreciate you sharing that and being honest, because a lot of people think as soon as you get into YouTube, you start making money, getting followers and all of that. Like it takes a long. Well,
speaking of that, I saw Hotshot Benny made a post the other day. He said he tried being an influencer, I think like 6 times, and he failed. Yeah. And now this time he's finally he actually surpassed me. He's got almost 50,000 subs. And I remember we were neck and neck at 6,000. And then he just took off like a rock, but he's got really good content. So I can't question that. He's definitely going pretty good on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But 6 times he failed. And then the 7th time it paid off, and he's doing very well. So it's just one of those, stick with it. It might not ever happen, but in that case, it does. It's better to try and fail than to never try at all. You'll never know.
Yeah.
So, and he's a perfect example of that.
Yeah, man.
You hear that, Dave?
Absolutely. No, man. I'm glad you mentioned it, because I reached out to Hotshot Benny. I was trying to get him in this weekend as well. And shouts out to him. And you guys, all YouTubers that are into this hot shotting thing, you're right. It is a great source of information right now, because people are looking for a way out. They're not satisfied with their jobs and everything like that. You've got several people who are sitting on dualies and whatnot, using them for everyday things. And now their situation has changed, because you're like you said, we're having this conversation. You can go and pull RVs or something like that. The Pinnacle type of companies where you're pulling things like that and all these things. You can go and move around and make money leasing on with someone with a truck, as long as it's in a good rating of a good year. Nowadays, they want it 2010 or better, but like I said, you can work it out though, depending on what type of situation you have with your truck. So I do appreciate you coming on and spreading that information with us. Moving forward, you got your company coming up. You're getting your CDL. What else do we got moving forward? What can your fans be looking forward to and be on the lookout for to know that you're going to have in place?
So as of now, I know that I will probably stay with JT probably for, I'd like to say, at least another 10 months. And he knows that. And he's ultimately been the one that's been helping me, figure out what ways to start this and what companies to use. So I'll stay with him. When I get my MC number, I am going to let it age, probably, however long I let it age, at least 10 months. That way you have to pay insurance on it to let it age.
Yeah.
So it will be a little expensive, but then later on down the road, I know I said I was never going to do it, but things do change. I was never going to lease on drivers, but I think I started doing that double your income challenge. Every year I want to double my income. And you realize that you can only cap yourself so much. Like if I were to do 200 this year, okay, how am I going to make 400 next year if I don't have people working for me? You can't do it all yourself. And it sucked because I got a bad taste in my mouth when I did, when we had CP Towing. We had 15 employees, 9 trucks, and they were always destroying trucks, and it was costing us money. That business lost, I believe it was $100,000 its first year. It was awful. A lot of debt, it was awful, but we learned a lot from it. And the next year I was able to make $100,000 by myself, but it is doable to make 100, 200, 300 grand being a hotshot. I don't know about right now, but 2 years ago, a year ago, even 3 years ago, it was really good. If you're hustling and you're out here, it was really good money. Now that's gross. Obviously you're going to have to figure out what your net and all that, and then after taxes and whatnot. But that's,
you say you don't know about right now, like what's going on right now.
So right now is just high fuel prices. You got that. Pennsylvania, it's like $6.60 a gallon for diesel, which is why I like my 12 valve. I am running straight oil. There's not a speck of fuel in that tank. So I have probably 500 gallons of tanks worth at my father's shop that we're just taking oil, and I'll sit and burn it every time I'm out of fuel. That's another reason I like it locally. But that's the thing. Brokers.
Wait a minute. So you're running on oil?
Yeah. Don't let that go over nobody's head. Come on.
Yeah. So I'm running straight waste oil. Whether there's oil in it, there's automatic transmission fluid, there's gear oil, diff, like you name it. Any of it's in there. It's all burnable. 12 valve tank. Yeah. 12 valve P pump and 7.3 Power Strokes are the 2 engines that can do it. I haven't had any issues yet other than figuring out what filter system works. So I've since switched over from fuel filters to oil filters, and it made a big difference. So I don't clog filters anymore. And when I was running oil filter or fuel filters, it was clogging the filters a lot. That was the only issue I had. Now that I'm running oil filters, no issues. It just runs. And now it does stink. It does smoke. But besides, like you're sitting in idle, it will haze a good white cloud. It's kind of annoying, but it's free. So if a pump ever fails, by the time it cost me a $1,500 injection pump, what's it matter when I've saved thousands and thousands of dollars on fuel? Because one fill up for that truck is about, I think it right now would be about $900 if I filled it from E for Pennsylvania fuel. And that only lasts 2 days on a normal hotshot run. That's about 1,200 miles, I'd like to say. So ultimately, like running it every other day and doing that, it saves you a lot of money. Let's just put it that way.
And how many miles are you averaging?
Right now, I'm not doing much hotshot right now. I'm focusing on getting the business started. But back in January, let's use that as an example, because that was a great month. I think it was like 24,000 in revenue. That was a great month.
Wow.
But then it cut in third in February, and it was only like 83. So it was out. It cut. I was running very hard in January. I was running about 600 miles a day. I'd go from Carlisle, PA to Pittsburgh. I go from Pittsburgh back to Carlisle, I'd be home, and then go to New Jersey and back, sometimes down to West Virginia, home every day. But I was running about 600 miles a day. And that was before the fuel prices started to hike their way up like they did. But it was a pretty good month. There was work there. Brokers weren't as bad. I was still able to bring in about can't remember what the weeks would have been with all that, but you get the point. It was a good month.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, you're right. Cause right now not only just the fuel prices, I mean, the loads are, these are crazy price loads nowadays, it's they're getting things down to like, we're looking at, I seen one load the other day. It was like $125 and we're talking about over 12. Like
it's costing you more than that to drive.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can't. And that's one reason I parked the truck and I decided, you know what, when times are hard like this, I like to focus on the mechanic side. Because what do I have? The shop charge is $95 an hour and I don't have much overhead. I got the tools already. Everything's already bought. It costs me a certain amount every day to use the shop, my father's shop. And it's not a bad deal. And I can keep more of the money in my pocket. With Hotshot, you have to have a lot of money set aside to be successful, especially now in times like these. If guys don't have at least 10 grand in their account, I tell them to stay away. YouTube helps, mechanic work helps. But if you're going to focus solely on Hotshot, you need to have that nest egg.
Yeah.
Quiet. I'm on the.
That's great.
I bet you raking in money with that automotive, huh? That labor.
Yeah, that was pretty good. We just did that 12-valve swap. I'd like to say he put quite a bit of money into that. We're not done with it. Probably another 10-hour day. And here and there, I do like working on. I'm kind of getting used to working on the 4th generation trucks now a lot more than I was. But yeah, when it's consistent, it's pretty good work. I know I need to put more out there and say, hey, we have room in the shop. But like I said, the past couple of weeks, I've just been focusing on the business and just letting the weekends, just kind of enjoying them a little bit, as opposed to.
What do you think about Elon Musk and these Tesla cars, trucks?
And to add on to that, because that's the question I was just getting ready to ask, like the question he's asked and add on to it, where do you see the future of Hotshot? And if they want to change everything to majority electrical, and do you think that would happen and how that would change the job market?
I know this will surprise some people, but I love Tesla. I like the cars, but they have a long way to go before the trucks are successful. I'd say at least another 6-7 years, at least. I'm not an expert on electric, but they definitely need to a driver should be able to drive 600 miles a day. And he should also be able to idle at shipping and receiving companies and be comfortable. He should be able to sit there with the AC on or sit there with the heat on and know that truck's not going to die. If he can't get at least 600 miles and a couple of hours idle time, then it's definitely not worth it. A driver needs to be comfortable. Now, I know they said about the self-driving trucks. I do think that we're a ways away from that ever working, even if it ever does work 100%.
Yeah.
But they're definitely a good bit away. I don't think we're going to go to, I think people will try it, but it's definitely not going to be efficient at first.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion.
Okay. If you ask Elon, we'll have that next year.
Every year he said,
Boy, every year.
I gotta support him, but yeah, he's every year.
So because they say they want to get all gas cars off the road pretty soon. In
California, what is
full electric?
2030?
Yeah. What? How is it going to happen when they're telling people you can't drive your truck, or we're going to dock you on your social credit score?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me, because you got guys going out like 2025, they go and buy a brand new car. How some of these guys are taking 8-year loans for cars or trucks.
Yeah.
How are they going to deal with that in 2030 when they still have a car note or a car loan, and they're still paying for it, but you got to get rid of it? Like, I don't understand how they're going to go through with that. Now, California is weird.
Right.
I know they say, oh yeah, go sell it to another state.
Right.
Well, if not everybody's on the same page, then how does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm with you on that. That's true.
Well, and lastly, any and you've been giving advice all the way through, but for somebody that's fresh looking to get in and they have a truck, any advice that you would give to them looking to get into Hotshot?
Watch a lot of different YouTubers. Don't just watch one.
Yep.
Do your due diligence. If you think somebody's saying something that doesn't make sense, fmcsa.dot.gov is the site, the official, like all of every rule. You can look anything up on there to make sure you're compliant. That's where I look. Obviously the CDL rule. A lot of guys think you need a CDL over 10,000 pounds on the trailer for some reason. You don't. Only California is that way.
Yep.
And you can verify that on the FMCSA website. Also, start with a big bank account. If you have your truck and you have all your equipment, make sure you got, I'd like to say at least 10. 10's a good number. Make sure your insurance is paid. If you can find a good company that'll lease you on and show you the ropes and whatnot, that's another better way. Don't go out and get your authority right away. Don't, especially before you get a insurance quote. So guys will go get their authority. They never got an insurance quote. Their insurance quote's $60,000 a year. Wow. They're like, oh, well, what do I do now? And that's a little excessive, but some guys are doing that. And some progressive I know a while back, they were actually actively telling people no. Yep. They wouldn't even insure them in general, even with a clean record sometimes.
Wow.
So that was an issue they were facing as well. But yeah, if you go and get your authority and you didn't get an insurance quote prior, prepare to get jabbed. Some of them, I've seen quotes of $20,000, $30,000, $40,000.
Yep.
It's not worth it. The only reason I'm getting my authority now, because I said I was going to wait till I was debt free. I only have, maybe 20 grand to go. That's not the big deal. But if I got to pay $1,000 insurance payment a month, it doesn't make sense for me to do it. But since my insurance is so cheap, it just makes sense to get it now. I can stand to pay $320 a month, and it'll probably even go lower than that because I'm going to put $750 just to let it age. So
basically, are you saying, long story short, it's better to start, lease under a company first, work for them, get money, get your money up, get some experience, and then venture out on your own?
Yes, but don't start with no money though. The money thing, if you're going to quit your full-time job, make sure you do have that nest egg of $10,000, because you're not going to get a company right away. Like, you're going to have to go, even if you have the equipment like right now, but some guys don't. You got to get your equipment first, make sure you're financially stable, then branch off, because it is super easy to lose everything. And then you've taken that risk, lost everything, and now you have to go back to your full-time job. And that's what I want to try to help people avoid. And this is why when I say things about Hotshot, it sounds like I'm talking bad about it, but at the end of the day, there is a lot of bad things about it. That's just facts. It's not someone complaining. It's just facts.
No, that's good, because in any job market, people are always telling you the good about it. Oh, go be a podcaster, be a YouTuber. You can be an artist.
Say how much they making,
but they never say the bad thing about it.
Right.
YouTubers will also only show their gross amounts as well. That'll get you too. When you got guys saying, "Oh, I'm making $12,000 a week or whatever in a semi," or your gross numbers, it's like, okay, what's your take home? My overhead's a lot cheaper than most guys. Especially running waste oil. These guys are spending $1,000 every other day on fuel in a pickup.
Right.
So you can imagine what a semi is spending every other day. So you really got it. You can't work for $1,000 a day anymore. You got to make $2,000 a day to really cover some of this stuff. And it's not possible in certain areas.
Yeah, and with you working on your own truck, like you said, having that $10,000 threshold, it does help because with you working on your own truck and you burning that waste oil, you're cutting your fuel costs, but you're also cutting that mechanic cost out. If you have a blown tire, that changing that oil, that anything goes wrong with your engine, I'm pretty sure anything goes on with your truck, you know how to fix it yourself versus having to go out pay $500-$600 for a tire swap. Yeah. Or especially if you're dealing with a dually, because with a dually, you might as well just wait till all the tires are done. Because they have to take all of them off just to change one, especially if we're talking an inner tire. So,
well, another point that people miss too, why I say to have that 10K nest egg. If you look at, say you go and buy say a newer truck, like 2020 to 2022, you go buy something newer. What happens when you have a recall or you have parts that aren't available for something? Like Dodge was having issues with their lug studs. There was guys out for, I forget what it was. There was some of them upwards of like 6 months. Yeah. Like, what do you do for 6 months? And you can't drive on a recall. If you get into an accident and you kill somebody, even if that person rear-ended you and you're stopped at a stoplight, you're at fault because you weren't supposed to be there. I just changed out an airbag recall on my truck because I found out about it. And I'm like, if I get in an accident, I kill somebody, you're liable. Even if it was their fault, they rear end you and they die.
It's your fault.
It's not you're pretty much spending your life in prison over something small like that. So you definitely want to have that nest egg or a backup plan. If that were to happen, if you're waiting on parts, you definitely got to be prepared for it.
Hey, what is your dream car?
That's a hard one. Car or any vehicle in general?
Any vehicle. Any vehicle.
I mean, I'm going to say it, I'm happy with the vehicle that I have now. Obviously, like everybody else, I would have probably taken a newer Dodge at some point if it wasn't so expensive. Nice wide wheels on it, a 5-inch straight pipe, deleted, tuned, all that. But unfortunately, financially, it doesn't make sense. But car wise, no, I like my little rice burners. I like my old, the 99 Eclipse GSXs. I love those.
Okay.
I wish I never sold I had a GST. I wish I never sold it, but unfortunately, financially, they don't make sense. But yeah, between those two, probably something like that.
And are you burning fuel in your cars?
Yeah. So my fiance, she has a 98 Accord. So it was like $60 to fill it up yesterday. And it's like $60 to fill up this car that used to take $20.
Oh my God.
I got one more question. Do you believe in God?
My answer is a little bit different than people. I believe that there is a chance. I believe that, how do I put this? It's not a no, it's not a yes. I believe that there is a possibility that there can be something out there. Yes. Because the universe is so big. It's like saying, do I believe in aliens? Like, I've never seen one, but there's no way there's not one that exists. The universe is huge. It's expanding at a fast rate. So yeah, there's a chance, but as of yes or no answer, I couldn't give you that.
So like basically in your life, like, okay. So have you ever like read the Bible before?
When I was a kid, yeah, I've read parts of it. I don't remember anything of it now. I'm actually helping out a charity that she's, I don't think Christian's the right word for it, but she's definitely very spiritual and one with God. She hands out Bibles to everyone that helps out with the charity. So I'm not against it or anything. I just don't know enough to really give my opinions on it.
You don't know enough because you don't want, because basically you don't want to know, or is it just you don't believe the Bible to be true?
That's a hard one because if you ever played the game when you're a kid, you sit in a circle and you tell one person one thing and it goes around and it comes back and something's changed.
Yeah,
that's one of those things with how long ago it was written. Some things have probably changed to the point where some people have probably changed it to their advantage, and then over time, it happened more and more. So it definitely a hard one. Maybe the original Bible is completely different than the new one. You'd never really. You really have.
They still got the ancient. They still got the ancient transcripts. Manuscripts. So like, if you want to read them yourself, like you can, read them. You can translate them for yourself.
Yeah, like I said, that's one of those things. I'm not up on it. Like I'm probably pretty ignorant in the subject, but as of that, I did not know. But as for the
Yeah,
actual Bible itself, yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, if you compare the two, you'd probably see a good bit of differences, if not a lot.
I mean,
it's just broken up.
Yeah, it's translation. So I mean, like you gotta get them in English for us to read them.
Yeah,
they're coming from Hebrew and all that. Ancient Hebrew.
But I mean, with everything that's going on in the world, especially when we're talking gas prices and
inflation,
like you said, food shortages, baby formula shortages,
meat
like
processing plants burning down.
Yeah. What else? Government projects coming out.
Chips, tattoo chips.
Yeah. There you go.
Stuff's pretty suspicious with the burning down out of nowhere. Yeah,
it looks like the Book of Revelation.
Yeah. It's important that people connect to something, and hopefully it's the right thing. Especially
connect to the Bible. It's important for you to connect to the Bible because I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't believe in the Bible, you don't believe in nothing. You just basically just living your life. You're just waking up, going to sleep. No true purpose. Like everything has a direction. Humanity has a direction it's going to, and it's happening before our eyes right now. It's if you don't know the Bible, then basically you're just watching everything, just watching the Titanic going down and not knowing there's a whole book that's talking about the Titanic going down and when it's,
I've been a big one on like everybody saying about the news. We've completely turned off the news. I've deleted my Facebook and a lot of social media sites. I'd love to get rid of Instagram, but unfortunately I can't do that until I get a website because I want to save all the pictures and move them over to that. But I've completely turned off the news on a lot of things too, because what's going on in the world, it's just unfortunate.
And Israel, it's a lot of stuff going on in Israel. Man,
they cover a lot of stuff too.
You said if I see it, I'm gonna be caught off guard.
That's where, and I'm not gonna say anything else about this, but that's where the real war, World War III, will start, and it's starting to play out. It's starting to play out.
I don't disagree because at the end of the day, like they'll want to show you what they want to show you on the news. Yep. So if something big's happening over here, they're using this one to cover it up. And that's just the unfortunate of it because there's a lot of things like I saw something I can't remember what it was, but I'm like, man, I didn't know about it, but everybody's focused on Ukraine. And that there's stuff like that going on all over the world right now. It's just like, but people are only following blindly.
Oh yeah,
that's another problem.
That's
I don't know.
Machine and all kinds of things going on in this world that
Have you ever heard of before we get out of here? When you get time, Google up the CERN machine of what it is and what they're trying to do.
You'd be surprised, man.
That's a real thing that some of the top people are invested in as well. They have a whole university about it.
We will all be judged, bro. Like, even if you feel like you're a good person, you got to think about it. I'm good in whose eyes? My eyes. So basically, I'm the God of my life, right? I make all the decisions. I say what's good or bad. There's no authority that's above me, but I was created by something that I didn't have a choice in. I didn't say I want to be on earth. So I was born into this place. Everybody was created, right? And reading the Bible
for a reason.
At the end of the day, even if you don't believe it to be true, it looks good for the creator, right? It's saying that I'm searching for something outside of myself because I know I am not God, but I do know God would. Whoever God is, he will judge people by the way that they live their life because you can look at evilness. Like if somebody come and murder like a whole family and they get off, they don't go to jail, nothing happens to them. But you see them, they're living their regular life. They just murdered somebody. So therefore that life has to be judged. To say that God doesn't exist or to say that he's not judging people is to say he's good. There's nothing wrong with committing murder.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like emotionally, if somebody killed somebody in your, like, you will feel that, like he created you, but you would cry, hate this person, or, maybe want revenge or whatever. But like, you have to I just gotta say, man, Jesus is Lord, bro.
Yeah.
Most the Bible is real.
Most people don't believe in God or don't think about it or even have it cross their mind until they have to. Until you have to rely on your faith when you have no hope, like what we're talking about, say with Hotshot, and I get into a situation, I done took the risk. I put all my money into this and I don't have that $10,000 threshold. And next thing you know, like you said, I hit the recall. I'm broke. I got bills to pay, house note, I got to pay the house note. I got the bills to pay. Then I got this car note.
Or you get in an accident.
I got this insurance to pay, whatever. I get
you on a deathbed. and then nobody's
Whatever.
coming to visit you no more.
But
It's been a couple days.
Yeah, I don't.
All you got is your peace, yourself.
Yeah, I don't have there's nothing else for me to rely on. Now I got to rely on something else because I've done everything I could do. I just invested everything. I put my all into it. It's over. I've got nothing else to rely on. When you get to that point, you know, most people, then they start to rely on something else other than themselves. And I believe that's where the true question starts to happen with most people. That's when you start to think about it like, there's got to be something else up out here, man.
I just had to say it, man. We don't mean to
absolutely
press you with it, but you know,
I appreciate you coming out, man, and giving us your time and spreading that information with the people, man. Like I said, God bless everything you got going on, man. Hopefully you stay doing what you do and you keep it up.
Hopefully you crack that Bible open, man. Hopefully so.
And you keep up that great work on YouTube. And if you get time, man, listen, do a video on this whole waste oil thing. Cause that's something. Hey,
once it's all set aside and everything's done. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
I'll
all
have something at some point, but once it's all figured out, I've been doing it for a long time, but more so lately with it being, you know, the whole thing. Usually I used to mix it, you know, I'd run it here and there, but now it's like, no, I'm just doing it permanently because these fuel prices are killer.
Gotcha. All right, man. We appreciate you coming out, man. You have a beautiful day, man. And you keep doing what you do, brother. You stay blessed out here.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate
All right.
you guys.
Thank you. We'll appreciate you, man.
Bye.